On an ordinary summer day in 1988, 176 passengers boarded a plane in Kyiv, expecting nothing more than a routine domestic flight. Among them were a mother and her teenage daughter, completely unaware that they were carrying a ticking time bomb. What started as a family visit turned into a horrifying tale of deceit, betrayal, and a narrowly averted catastrophe. This is the real story of Larissa Hryb, her husband's unimaginable crime, and how fate, or a careless baggage handler, saved a plane full of people from disaster. August 17, 1988, Kiev. The Tu-154B aircraft is preparing for takeoff to Kuibyshev, now Samara. 176 people board the plane. Among the passengers is 46-year-old Kyiv native Larissa Hryb with her 15-year-old daughter Elena. In her luggage, an ordinary cardboard box, lies a bomb. In those days, baggage inspection at airports was not as strict as it is today, so smuggling an explosive device on board was not difficult. Larissa was flying to visit her older sister and was convinced that she was bringing gifts for her relatives. At that time, the supply situation in capital cities like Kyiv was significantly better than in the regions. Therefore, she packed the cardboard box with hard-to-find food products, sausage, frankfurters, butter, items that were nearly impossible to get in Kuibyshev, even with ration cards. However, somehow a bomb ended up in the box. Its timer was set for 10 p.m., when the airliner was supposed to be flying over the Penza region. The Tu-154 lifted off the runway and soared into the sky, and later, right on schedule, it landed safely in Kuibyshev. The explosion did not occur. The woman and her daughter collected their luggage and headed to their relatives. When Larissa arrived at her relative's home and opened the box instead of sausage and butter, she saw a plywood crate filled with nails. Under the lid was a strange device, a canister, wires, bags with unknown liquid, and a ticking alarm clock. Larissa was certain that the box with food had been swapped at the airport. Her outrage was so strong that without hesitation, she called a taxi and went back to the airport, ready to cause a scandal. Upon seeing the contents of the package, airport staff immediately called the police and special services. Experts quickly determined that the box contained a homemade bomb with a timed mechanism. The electric detonator had already triggered, but the explosion did not happen. A wire connecting the clock and battery had come loose. This likely occurred due to rough handling of the luggage. Possibly a baggage handler who threw the box unwittingly saved the lives of 176 passengers. Experts also found that polyethylene bags with 3 liters of gasoline were attached to the bomb. In the event of an explosion, this would have caused a fire that would have left almost no chance for the plane or anyone on board. Shrapnel from the blast could have pierced the fuselage and damaged control systems, inevitably leading to catastrophe. Larissa, who just hours before was sure she had been deceived, now found herself at the center of a major investigation. She had to explain how an explosive device ended up in her luggage. But she herself could not understand how it had happened. The story was taking a more and more serious turn. The investigation into the bomb incident aboard the Tu-154B was taken under control by the prosecutor's office and the KGB. Almost immediately, the main suspect became Larissa's husband, Vasily Hryb. Vasily had served in the far north during the 1980s. In 1987 he was discharged and returned to his family in Kyiv, taking a job as an engineer at a factory. He appeared to be a respectable citizen, a retired lieutenant colonel, a party member, and a respected factory worker. However, behind this outward stability hid a complicated personal life. During his service in the north, Vasily had taken a mistress who eventually gave him an ultimatum, her or the family. Larissa had long suspected her husband of infidelity and often caused scenes. Their underage daughter always sided with her mother, which in Vasily's view made her his enemy. Unwilling to directly discuss the emerging issues or divorce Larissa, he chose a radical path. The investigation established that Vasily was the one who packed and brought Larissa's luggage to the airport. He used his engineering skills to build a homemade explosive device in the factory lab. His plan was simple: The bomb was supposed to go off during the flight, destroying the plane and everyone on board. This would allow him to avoid divorce, alimony, and division of property, and start a new life with his mistress. The catastrophe would also erase all traces of his crime. The lives of the other passengers meant nothing to Vasily, but the bomb did not work. Larisa, her daughter, and everyone on board survived. Vasily was arrested. What began as a simple flight from Kiev to Kuibyshev turned into a case of attempted murder rooted in betrayal. The investigation thoroughly examined all circumstances of the case. All possible evidence was gathered. However, an unexpected twist occurred at the trial. Larisa, despite everything that had happened, defended her husband. She claimed that Vasily had no intention of blowing up the plane and tried to present arguments to lessen his guilt. Her motives remained unclear. Perhaps it was an attempt to save the family, or fear of a future without her husband. Nevertheless, her words could not outweigh the collected evidence. The court sentenced Vasily Hrib to 13 years in a high-security penal colony. As for the Tu-154B, the plane that nearly became the victim of a crime continued flying until 1998. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe for more scary and amazing stories.